Hey guys, hope you're all staying safe and doing well out there. So today I wanted to make a video just trying to assemble the cheapest possible pedal board I can. There's no real reason for this video, it's just something I thought would be a bit of fun to do, and it would be interesting to see how it actually sounds if we assemble really cheap pedals. So I'll be assembling this pedal board based on the used prices of these pedals, because I think a lot of people will be shopping for them used. And even though used prices fluctuate, the new prices fluctuate a lot these days as well. So I'm just going to stick with used prices because I know them better, I'm more familiar with them. And maybe in another video, I'll compare it to a more expensive sounding pedal board. So let's go down to our pedal board and see what we're working with. So here is the actual pedal board itself we'll be using. It is just a bit of wood that was taken off a Kmart shelf. So if you live in Australia, you'll be familiar with the department store Kmart. They just sell a lot of cheap furniture and homewares and things like that. So this is just a shelf. It's actually the same shelf that all my pedals sit on, which you're about to see. I just took the hanging part off and was left with a plank of wood that I use as a pedal board. It's pretty flimsy, it kind of bends a little bit, but we've got Velcro on one side and this Lego tape. It's not official Lego, but it's like that Lego stud pattern tape, kind of acting as the legs for it underneath. We've also got just a bunch of cheap patch cables and a really just simple daisy chain power supply to hook everything up. So let's start choosing some of the pedals we're going to put on this pedal board. I'm very lucky to have quite a few to choose from. Unfortunately, the room is a bit of a mess at the moment, but that's okay. A few guitars I'm working on fixing up for people. I'm thinking I want a drive, a distortion, a fuzz, a delay, and a reverb. Just your bread and butter pedal board staples that everyone, or most people, would have on their pedal board. Maybe not a fuzz, but I think most people would have a fuzz these days. So I think there was a pedal over here, which I'm thinking is going to make a great distortion pedal for our cheap pedal board. It is a Donna Morpher distortion pedal that I repainted because I thought it looked ugly as. It's just a Sir Riot's clone, so kind of a Marshall in a box distortion pedal. I picked this up for $5 used, which was crazy even for what it is, but you don't often see them for more than $20 used, to be honest. So you can find the Donna Morpher distortion pedal anywhere pretty cheap used. Let's have a look at the fuzz section. I'm thinking there's only two that are really cheap, which is the Nuex Vintage Fuzz, which is one of my favorites from this shelf. And the other cheap one is just this homemade DIY fuzz face clone. I think that's going to be the way to go. I got it for $20 used. And to be honest, this is a really common DIY pedal kit that a lot of people will build and then just find that they don't use. So they sell them really cheap because they built them themselves. It's not like it's built by Boss or JHS or anything. It's not like it has a resale value. So they sell them really cheap. I've bought a few of these for under $30 while I've been playing guitar. This is the latest one I've got in. And yeah, this one was $20 and it does the fuzz job. This shelf is the reason I wanted to make this video, because this shelf here has about $1,000 worth of pedals on it and it's only 3 pedals. A lot of people will get a early 80s Ibanez TS9, an early 80s Ibanez 80, and then a vintage Dynacomp and think that's the holy grail of tone. Not those 3 pedals in combination, but one of those 3. I don't believe it is. I have these pedals because I just like to have them as a collector. I like the history behind them. But in terms of how they sound, I actually don't think they sound any better, or at least not much better than anything you can get on the market now, really. So we'll come back to these pedals though. We're going to skip over modulation and we're going to go to delay, and there's no other pedal for it but the Nuex Atlantic delay and reverb. This is a little bit more expensive. So on the used market, these go for about $80 to $100, but it is a fully independent reverb side and a fully independent delay side. So we're kind of knocking out 2 pedals in one. So I think that might be a good option. Unless I have some Danelectro pedals that might do the job. What have we got? French Toast, Octave. No, they're kind of climbing in value. Oh, well, I'll grab this while I'm here. The Joyo Vintage Overdrive. That's going to be the overdrive for the pedalboard. Just a classic Tube Screamer clone. One of the most famous cheap pedals out there. I don't know a lot of people who hate it. Does the job really well. But anyway, we were looking at the Danelectro pedals for a cheap reverb. There we go. Corned beef reverb. You can find these really cheap. Again, $20 to $25 used, and you can find them pretty commonly anywhere. So I think that's going to make a good cheap reverb pedal. Then we should have, there it is. Oh, sorry mate. We should have a delay pedal, the Danelectro PB&J delay. Again, these are fetching a little bit more now because they're a proper analog delay. Well, I think, I'm actually not too sure. They sound analog anyway, and these go for about $30 to $35. So when I say a little bit more, they're still dirt cheap. It's cool because you've got a long and a short setting, but I think that's going to be a good option for a affordable delay. Okay, so here is our selection of affordable guitar pedals that we're going to use for our super cheap pedal board. I wanted to try and keep it under 150 and at the worst under 200. I think we've done that. So we've got 20 plus 20 plus 20, so that's 60. Then we've got 25, so 85, and then 35, so that's what, 120? I've never been good at math on the fly. Believe it'll be 120 all up. Plus our pedal board, that was about $10 with all the parts, plus about $10 worth of just patch cables and things. As you can see, the pedal board's pretty short, so we're going to have to do some pedal board Tetris to get it going. In true affordable fashion, I don't think it's going to look very neat. Okay, so here it is all wired up and hopefully ready to go. Oh, except the power cables, which I will put on before I record it, obviously. So we are going into the fuzz, then into our Joyo Vintage Overdrive, then into our, what was it? Donomorpha Distortion. I forget what it is since I repainted it. Then into our Danelectro PB&J delay and our corned beef reverb. As you can see, very messy. Doesn't really fit on this size pedal board. The Danelectro pedals aren't even Velcroed down, but they're saying they're okay. But it's in the spirit of your first super cheap, affordable pedal board. Let's see how it sounds.